Hello, this is Andreas from Nordic Tarot, and I'm here with a love reading for the second half of October. And I just want to mention, as always, that before we get into the readings, that these readings are general and they won't, and really they can't resonate with everyone. So I really hope there is a message for you, but if there is not, I'm sorry. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy your reading. Hi Aries, Sun, Moon and Rising. This time around, the underlying energy you have is the King of Wands. And Aries, being a fire sign, this very much be your energy. It can be that you're feeling very much in yourself at this moment. And I'd like to remind you that even if you're a woman or someone with a lot of feminine energy, you can still show up as the King of Wands in these readings. Because they are general and they're trying to cover so many people. So even though the King of Wands is showing up, this can still be you. If you're a woman or someone with a lot of feminine energy, like I said. Of course, when a fire energy court card comes up, and when you yourself are a fire sign, this can sometimes mean that, like, this person is your king, or this is your queen. Like, you see them as yours, right? But because this is the underlying energy, it's very rare that someone else's energy comes up here, because it's so intrinsic to you. And then just looking at the other cards, this is most likely your energy, that you're just feeling very much in your own energy and in yourself and in yourself. But then the heart of the reading here, or the problem circumstance, is the Six of Swords. And this is someone who's, might have gotten hurt and they're moving away from that. This is moving from choppy waters into more tranquil, calm waters. And it can sometimes be about a journey, an inner journey, and sometimes it's like physical travel, like you're traveling somewhere, and most likely a shorter distance, if it is that. But I feel like this is someone who got hurt. I feel like this, with the Page of Cups crossing the Six of Swords, what the Page of Cups is, it can sometimes be someone expressing themselves, someone saying how they feel about something. And that means that this can be that some words were exchanged, and maybe someone expressed how they felt about something, and that was not something that the other person wanted to deal with, or like it hurt them, or it might have pushed them away with the Six of Swords, because then they are moving away from that event or that situation, right? So what was it that happened? Like, is it that? It very much feels like there was some kind of argument. It might not even have been a huge thing, it can just have been a tiny thing, and then things got out of hand, or someone said something they didn't necessarily mean, and, people got hurt emotionally, or just, not feeling great about themselves. But then in the past, you have the Magician, and the Magician is a very powerful card. It's a card of manifestation, and it's talking about having everything you need to create what you want. And I kind of feel like there was something here, like, you created something and it's kind of finished. Like, there was some kind of completion here, like the Magician was that kind of energy, like, you had that and you did it. Like, what is that? What is the Magician referring to? Like, you created something, you made something happen. And, the Magician has the power at his fingertips, like the Magician has the power at his fingertips. He makes things happen. And he has the tools he needs to make them happen as well. Then in the present, what this Magician energy has evolved into in the present, is the Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords, it's a card that it talks about a few different things. It can be someone, there's a kind of a darker aspect to it, which can be that someone's spying on someone else. But then the lighter, reflection of that side is that this is someone gathering information. Not necessarily spying then, that's more like the dark side version of that card, right? But it can be just someone looking for answers and looking for information, kind of trying to figure something out. And it just looks to me like someone's starting something new here as well, like that's the kind of message I'm getting. And another thing about the Page of Swords is that the swords are our thoughts, right? And the card, the Ace of Swords, is a victory card, and it speaks of victory through the truth. And that is the sword that the Page of Swords is wielding. But the pages Although I don't view them as people, they are, can sometimes be speaking of children or something like that, but it's a younger person, or it can be our inner child. Like the Page of Cups, for example, can be talking about our inner child. And the same way with the Page of Swords, that would you give a sword to a kid? And what that kind of grows into then is that the Page of Swords can be about brutal honesty. It can be someone who does not really have any regard for how what they're saying is going to affect someone else. I mean, sometimes people need that, and but it can even be a bit tactless sometimes, that kind of truth. And like I said, with little to no regard for how it might affect someone else. But I do feel like it's more the looking for information and trying to figure some stuff out here with the Page of Swords. And I also feel like it's figuring these things out with the Page of Swords kind of energy, because in the future, it looks to me like you meet someone. You meet a Queen of Swords, and again, if you're a straight woman, then this Queen of Swords will be a man, like, again, even if it's a queen, then even if there's someone who has a lot of male energy or is a man, then they can still show up as the Queen of Swords. And I definitely feel like this is someone you meet, and I feel like it's the beginning of something. Like, is this someone you're returning to? Is this someone you're already in a relationship with? Do you meet this person and there's like this love that grows out of it? And like I said, if this is someone you're already with or you're going back to, then maybe that love is renewed. Because it kind of looks to me like from all the other cards here, especially your outcome, which is the Knight of Swords, that's kind of what you strive toward in a way. Now, your crowning energy, or the advice card here, is Justice. And Justice, wow, this is why I said that the Six of Swords and the Page of Cups kind of looks like an argument, or like words were being exchanged here, right? Because the Justice card is, well, it's a few things. It's the karmic scales balancing. It's, you might have felt an injustice in your relationship or in your dating life, but it's also about decisions coming in. It can be about marriages, it can be about divorces, but it's also about apologies, that someone's going to apologize about something. So I think they are very much related. And then we have to ask ourselves, like, because the Justice card is in your crowning energy and your advice, is this an apology that you have to make? And I'm not saying it is this, but, and I'm of course not, if this is an argument or something, I'm not putting all the blame on you, not at all. Like, in an argument and in a relationship, we bring 50% and the other person brings 50%. Well, we're both responsible for that relationship, right? But it's just, that's the kind of thing I'm getting here. And then in your feelings, you have the Star, which is hopefulness. It's wishing. It's also like some healing attached to this card. And I feel like you're very set on this. Like, there's, again, the kind of messages I'm getting through, feels like you're very determined. Like, no, this is what I wish for, or, this, I'm hoping for this and I really want this. And kind of reflecting the Two of Pentacles as well, because the Two of Pentacles is in your hopes and fears, but I'll get to that in a second. But like I said, I just feel like there is this kind of determination with the Star here. And then of course, what is it you're hoping for? What is the wishing that's happening? What is it that has got you so determined? And I really do feel like things kind of works out here in a way as well, because in your external influence, you have, or in your outside influence, you have the Four of Wands. And in a love reading, the Four of Wands is a card of commitment. I mean, it is a card of commitment in kind of any reading you do, but in some other readings, it's like, oh, you're going to move, or you're going to get a promotion. The Four of Wands in a love reading is kind of a leveling up of a relationship. So if you're single, you might start dating. If you're dating, you might, move in together, for example. Or if you're not engaged, maybe you get engaged, etc. Like, you get what I mean. I kind of get the feeling like, is the Four of Wands here attached to the Page of Swords in some way? Because the thing is, the outside influence is something that's affecting your current situation. It's kind of all around your reading, but it's not something you've necessarily noticed yet. Like, you might not have seen the effects of this. Maybe it's, not arrived in front of your face where you can just see it. So I kind of feel like the Queen of Swords and the Four of Wands is connected as well, because is this then the leveling up of the relationship that the Queen of Wands has to do with? That you meet this person in the future and then level up the relationship with the Four of Wands. And I feel like that could be quite a definite possibility. And now, to your hopes and fears. And this is why I was kind of tying the Star and the Two of Pentacles together, because the Star is about hoping. This is what you're wishing for, and I really hope this happens. And that's kind of where I'm getting this determination from, because the Two of Pentacles in your hopes and fears is about this focus. It's about effort. It's concentrating. And of course, there are other aspects to the Two of Pentacles, like how this person has their back to the sea, and the sea or this water representing our emotions. And it can sometimes be that we're detaching, or that we're maybe neglecting an area of our life. And it's a two as well, like the Two of Cups or the Two of Wands. Like, the Two of Wands is about picking a path, the Two of Swords is about a difficult decision, and the Two of Pentacles is this thing where you are currently keeping the balance, you're currently focused and concentrating, but because of the effort you have to put in, then maybe this is not something you can maintain forever. And at some point, one of the pentacles you need to pick one, right? But I feel like it's more feel like it's more the determination and like the willingness to put in the work, and that the Star is more asking you, what is it you're hoping for? I don't know, I just feel like you really want to turn this Two of Pentacles into something stable. Of course, it's pentacles as well, so it's very stable and grounded. And now to your outcome, and I feel like the Page of Swords and the Queen of Swords are very much connected to this Knight of Swords. And one thing I want to say is that the King and Queens are usually people of similar age and similar levels of maturity. When a King or a Queen shows up with a Knight, then that can sometimes mean that one of the people in this relationship might be younger than the other person, or just less mature maybe. So are you younger than this Queen of Swords? Is this someone then you know if you're younger than them? And I don't want to say less mature like it's a terrible thing or anything, but there are people who are 23 and want children and get married, and then there are people in their 40s who just want to, go out and party. And I would say societally, one of those is clearly more quote-unquote mature than the other. But it is this kind of thing, again, do you know this Queen of Swords? Or do you know this air person, like this Gemini, Libra, or Aquarian that is coming in from the future? Maybe that's someone you already know, someone you've already met. And in that case, you would know if you're younger. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily true. Of course, this can just be about the Knight of Swords, like leveling up from the Page of Swords to the Knight of Swords, where the Page is about gathering information and brutal honesty. The Knight of Swords is about speed and just getting things done. It's like, all right, that's done. I don't need to hear more information, or I don't need to look for anything else. I'm just going to ride out there and get things done. That's the kind of attitude of the Knight of Swords. Like, he's ferocious in just going for it. But I want to move on to your Oracle cards. And from the Oracle of E, you've pulled number 26, Talking Smack. And it reads, that small thinking you've been doing, get over it. There is no reason to compare yourself to others, because there is no other like you. The only person capable of putting you down is you. So all that remains are 3 little questions. Why? So yeah, this card is clearly asking, why are you talking smack to yourself? Like, what is up with that? And this Six of Swords, Page of Cups kind of situation where I said there might be a fight or some words being exchanged. Maybe this is you talking to yourself. Maybe there's not even another person involved in that. Maybe that's just you putting yourself down, for example. And then maybe justice is about forgiving yourself. And from the Wisdom of the Oracle, you pulled number 37, Never Ending Story. And the essential meanings are self-criticism, the wounded ego, unnecessary dramas. Yeah, so on the other hand, the Wisdom of the Oracle card is kind of sounds like there was some kind of a fight, maybe some things that you don't mean that was said, that it might have been just something that got out of hand. And maybe this is still just you. but I do feel like there's some other person here. And maybe the talking smack card is more you talking down to yourself after the fact. Like, oh, why did I do that? Or why did this happen? Or like, oh, this always happens to me, or something like that, right? But I feel like I understand that the Six of Swords, Page of Cups kind of situation can be very difficult, but you don't have very horrible energies to be getting on with. I think that it looks really bright, like you're really grounded in yourself with the King of Wands. You have this Queen of Swords in the future. You're looking for information, I think, with the Page of Swords in the present. You have this Justice card, like in your crowning, that there's an apology or a decision or something coming in. You're hopeful in your feelings, you feel hope and you're wishing for things. You have this leveling up or commitment in a relationship from the Four of Wands coming in as well. And it looks like in your hopes and fears, like you're willing to put the effort in, and in the future, in your outcome, it looks like you're rearing to go. But then you do have this maybe talking smack, talking to yourself, kind of how you treat yourself, but also looking at whatever happened through the goggles of the Never-Ending Story card. Like, is it as bad as you perceive it? But yeah, I think you have some energies to be getting on with. You know, a lot of things are just for our own greater good, right? So why isn't this one of those things? So that was your reading for mid-October. I really hope that was a message for you, and you know, like I said, these readings are general and it's kind of impossible for it to resonate with everyone. But if it did resonate, or if it didn't resonate and you want some more answers, you have some questions about other like aspects or areas of your life, maybe there's some situation you're in, then you can contact me through my email, which you'll find below in the description box. You know, I'll give you some information about prices and the kind of readings I do. And as always, if you are wondering what kind of decks I've used or anything like that, you'll find most of the information down below in the information box as well. I know I keep changing things up and doing things differently, but I'm trying to find my way of doing it and kind of what suits me, and as well as input from my viewers, of course. But until next time, I hope everything goes well with the messages that were there for you, and if nothing else, I'll see you next time.